everybody, and happy Thursday. I cannot believe, we're already in the last of January. How does that happen? Hold on, making sure I get my lives.
How does that happen?
Nope, that's why. Hold on a second. There we go. I just want to make sure I can see all the comments that are going to come through, because this is my most, hottest topic in the arsenal as far as people that comment, watch, participate throughout this live. This is How Are We Wired to Win? Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to have my team on here. Amanda, if you can also send them the YouTube links as well as the fan page for them so I can see their comments, that would be great. I'm letting her know just in case she hasn't gotten on the live just yet, so that you can also see the comments. For those of you that are in our group, I can feature your questions so people are able to see it. Laura's going to come on in a little bit later. Good morning. Ooh, I see Instagram finally. Thank you for commenting. So Laura's going to be on in just a little bit, but since this was more of my live, I wanted to make sure that she didn't have to sit there the entire time. She is traveling, which is an amazing feature of our real estate business on the Coaching and Not, is that we can travel and still be able to, share and do what we're doing from wherever we are. We had an amazing retreat last weekend. I'm starting to post pictures that our photographer is sending over throughout the day. It was full of high energy. It was so good. And I think rewiring the brain, right? And having this option to be in this room with all these amazing people and just enjoy it and feel that energy and the mindset that was covered and the stories that were shared. It was just this amazing experience, to the point that I actually ended up crying at the end, which I've never done at a retreat. I have never cried at a retreat, and I did this time because it was just that special. It was just that amazing of an experience that none of us wanted it to end. So getting back on topic here, because this is a big topic. This is a long topic. And I want your feedback in the comments. I'm going to just pay attention to the notes that I took, but I want the feedback as we're going, because I am going to kind of bounce back and forth to your comments, and then I read through them at the end. So if you can please, I love the energy of the comments coming through and the interaction and all of that. That would be phenomenal for me to be able to have as well. So Amanda's going to be posting here the YouTube link into the comments here in just a bit, so that as you comment, I can actually see it on the stream. And if not, I'll get into the group as soon as I can. If you're not in our group, you should definitely join our Facebook group. It's a phenomenal group full of lots of lovely women. I just can't get it on the live stream here. So, how to be wired to win. We are going to be discussing different practices and affirmations and tools that are going to set yourself up to win. Now, I have notes over here because it's so much I wanted to cover that I wanted to make sure I brought everything to you in this live. So if it looks like I'm reading, it's because I am. I'm just going to be real here. It's stuff that I practice, but I am very much almost ADD, and I want to make sure that I get everything to you as possible. So if you are going to catch the replay later, go ahead and comment replay so that I know that you're watching. But let's be real. Life as we knew it in 2020 changed us. And that it's things as slowly returning back to normal. We are returning back to normal, but people aren't the same. We have all changed how we see things, how we view things, how we go about our day-to-day. How we interact with others, right? It's very, very different from pre-COVID times. You second guess before hugging people. You do all this stuff, and real estate also had to change overnight. And so for a lot of people, that put more fear in them than good to kind of overcome the being viral and getting online and all of that. And then other people, though, amazing for it, right? It did amazing for them because it pushed them out of their comfort zone to go viral, to go, what's the word I'm looking for? Just be online, virtual, there we go. To be virtual and do that. For us, it made us be able to reach out more women nationwide instead of having to travel every other weekend to meet the women that were in our community. And so it really does change a lot of the things. And we all with it being still new in the new year, I felt we should time this call pretty perfectly. Near the end of January, but still in the first part of the year. And the reason I picked near the end of January is because all those resolutions are probably starting to wane in a lot of people's minds. And I thought this call would just be perfect for it, to get us back on track, reframe our mindsets, but also give you the actual steps on how to achieve your goals that you are trying to reach in 2023. And the goals that you had set for yourself at the beginning of this month, right? We're already near the end of the month. And so I want to get us back on track because I know people are falling off. It is the way of things. And so we all know, because you have been around us for a while, that your current reality is based on your thinking. So your thoughts, your actions because of those thoughts, etc., led you to your exact moment that you are right now. These are past thoughts you've had. And so who you are now is because of past choices and decisions you've made or fears you've let overrule you during the time that you are leading up to this exact moment. And I am hoping that this live is going to be the moment, the live that changes things for you, or at least is something you come back to be like, okay, that was the moment my life changed, right? And out of the two coaches of, excuse me, Laura or myself, I am more of the most blunt one. So I'm just going to be real here. I am more of the blunt coach. Laura's more subtle and kinder, unless, her Italian ways come out. I'm more of like the kick in the ass type of coach that you need. And a lot of people had said this at the last retreat. I need someone that's going to kick me in the ass and remind me of who I am. That's me. Hi, I'm Liz. And so some of what I say today might hit home. Some might turn you off to where you don't even want to listen to me anymore. And some of you might not really like what I have to say. And that's okay, because I'm going to do this for the people that do. I'm going to do this for the people that are willing to constantly better themselves and rewire their brain. And because you're probably listening to this because you're not exactly where you want to be in life just yet, or you want to have to worry about rewiring your brain, right? And so where you are is just because of your current mindset. And there's nothing wrong with your current mindset. I'm just trying to bring you up to your best potential. That is what I'm here for. Is my students, we don't settle for mediocre, right? And anyone that is a student knows that. I don't let that. If you are falling, I am finding out why. And I'm going to re-inspire you and re-bring you back to your goals and why you are doing this. That's why we do vision board parties and mindset calls and weekly group calls and all this stuff, because to me it is so important that you stay on track. And if you don't, I have people that track that, where you are, and we reach out. And that is so important. So during the last retreat, though, I asked the ladies in the room, I said, who felt they self-sabotaged or were holding themselves back from their own success? And it was an astounding, 95% of the room all raised their hands. And I told them to look around. And so when I told them to look around, they could see that it was not just them, but they could also see how common of an issue this is. And that is why we are talking about this right now. Speaking of COVID, still getting over it from December. So if I'm coughing, that's why. So we are going to go ahead and jump in. Who is interested, besides, the tons that are watching, but who is interested in rewiring their brain? Like Connie says, I'm going to feature this real quick. Don't worry, nothing wrong with it. But yes, I need that kick in the ass, right? We all do. Trust me, I still get it. I still have to give it to Laura from time to time, right? So who is interested, if you can comment, in rewiring the brain and really maybe having these harder conversations and thoughts that are coming through throughout this? Very interested. Okay. Super excited. All right. Me. Great. I guess we're going in. All right. So I'm going to take my notes now, put them a little more up front, and then I will come back. But please comment throughout this live. I always come back and review the comments, and I need to know what is speaking to you and what isn't, okay? And I always welcome feedback too. Near the end, we'll do Us and Ask Us Anything. I'm going to try and get through this as fast as possible to not keep you guys on here forever. But it's going to be a long live, and it's going to be a life-changing live. And even my assistants are on because I said, I think it's good for you guys to hear this. And Amanda always helps me, but even my other assistants are on because it's good for anyone to hear this, okay? So let's jump in. So your current life, the life you have right now, is the life you are willing to put up with. What do I mean by this? So how many of you are in a job you hate, in a relationship you aren't happy in? You're in debt, you're not making enough money, you're not in a healthy place, etc. You don't need to tell me which one, but think to yourself, could something be different? You're here because of how your life really is, and it's not working for you anymore. Am I right? Something in your life isn't working for you anymore, or you wouldn't be looking for something else. Isn't that, could we agree that that's probably something that's going on right now? All of the above. Okay. Yes, debt, not enough money. Exactly. Daily work in progress. Please rewire me. I love you guys. Okay. Yes. Okay. So we tend to go back to what we know, what we are comfortable with, and when things happen that we don't understand, or we're getting too pushed out of our boundaries, we go back. I'm going to share a story here. I was dating somebody last year. In 2021 now, technically. I was dating someone that completely changed his life for the better. By the time I met him, he changed his whole entire life around. It was a complete 180 from what his friends had said and his family that he was right before I met him. And he was on the right track for success. He was doing really well in his job. He was living back on his own. He was going through a divorce from somebody that was incredibly toxic, all of this stuff. Then he started having self-doubts. And he started listening to his limiting beliefs. And he started letting old things creep in, old ways of thinking and habits creep in. Then he let his past back in, his ex-wife, while we were together. And I'm sharing something very personal because this was the closest thing I've ever witnessed to a huge self-sabotage of someone that needed to rewire their brain, did the work, and then came back. And before I knew it, he became a stranger. I didn't recognize him anymore. And it was actually really scary. And in order to make a life change, you have to fully commit to rewiring your brain for good. That means leaving the things or the people behind that do not let you be your best self. And so he didn't. He ended up going back to her. And I'm going to share this, he's miserable. He's reached out to me 5 times since then. And it's things like that. And when I move forward, I move forward. And when I hit 25, I had to let go of my old life. I had to let go of everything. I lost people and everything to be the person I am today. And I don't regret it for a moment because I love my life. I was telling them at the retreat, love who I've become. But it took time. I had to completely rewire, reset my brain to become this person and never look back. And so what are you going to do to change it? If you don't like your job, why not get a new one? Or why not finally make the jump into real estate? Everyone's like, Liz, it's not that easy. But it is. You have to just be able to do it. You have to take that step. And it's scary. It's very, very scary. Right? And so if you don't like your job, why not get it? Or if you don't like your current money circumstances, what are you doing to bring yourself out of those problems? Are you still shopping on Amazon? Liz. No, I'm good with money, but what I mean is, like, I have an Amazon habit. I had to delete it off my phone. And so it's like, are you not doing that? If you don't like your weight, what are you doing to change it? Are you eating better? Or are you just sitting there in your old comfort of emotional eating? Again, Liz. What are you doing to make that stuff happen for you, though? If you're not willing to take the action and change your daily habits to change your situation and really stick to those actions and newly formed habits, then you have chosen to stay in this current reality that you have, right? You have chosen to stay there. If you are not making those points and those actions and changing your daily habits and creating new habits that you no matter what stick to, up to this point, this is that life you've chosen. And that's hard to hear. And if you want to change your life, you need to be real honest about the choices and thoughts and actions that you have made or not made to be where you are. Right? And you can't blame others. You can't blame life. You can't blame your coaches if you're not taking the steps. You can't blame other people, your kids, or your family, or your traumatic past. You can't. You have to take control of the situation. You're the only one that can change your life. Not someone else can change it for you. And you can always do something. You just have to be willing to make the change. So like in the example of my ex, he could have chosen not to go back and to really stick to what he had originally committed to. And who knows where his life would be. But because he didn't, he went back to the past and now he's miserable. And so for you, and I'm just saying this on a huge, nationwide thing. It's like, for you, in order to change, you have to let go of things, no matter how hard it is. And the biggest thing that people say is, well, it's not that easy. No, it's not. But nothing worth having is. I didn't get to where I was because it was rainbows and, bunnies jumping around and flowers. It was the hardest thing of my life to get where I am right now. And one of TJ's siblings, because as you know, my ex, I'm still very close to his family, they came down to visit Hunter. She asked, when did you feel like you really had it all together? Because you really have it all together. I said, this minute I turned 33, which I'm 33. I said, now I feel like it. I said, I feel like it. And I'm sure there's going to be dips and motions, but now. But it took me, it's been 8 years since I left TJ. So 8 years of battling everything I've been through and constantly not giving up on myself and constantly restarting every day and not letting the excuses overpower me to get me to where I am. And that was really hard to share with her because she's young and I wanted to inspire her to be like, oh, it could be in 5 years, but I wasn't going to because I did let myself get in the way a lot of times. So I'm talking from someone that had to rewire her brain, and I'm sharing with you real life experiences here. So, that you can't blame others for this. This is really on you to make your life happen. If you have a certain life, it's on you to make that happen. It's not anybody else's fault. I've had a lot of successful students, so I know it's not the program, right? When people try to tell me that, I'm like, no, because I have successful students. I'm successful. I'm teaching what I know. Laura's done it for 37 years now, I think it is. We're at 36 or 37. She just hit the next year mark. Now I'm getting confused. It's all about how you apply and what you do, and that you have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be willing to fail forward, right? So the fact that you want something different is a sign that you are supposed to have a different life, and you don't want to ignore it, and you don't want to settle. I told them at the retreat, and a lot of them had tears in their eyes. They said, you have one life. Regardless of what you believe in, this is your one life right now. This is one life, and do you want to live it in your comfort zone, even if you're miserable, or do you want to really rewire and change things? So if you're constantly putting it off, then maybe right now it's not a priority for you, and you're unwilling to make changes at the moment. And you need to be really honest with yourself. Are you really not that miserable? Do you really not need the change that bad? And when you stick to what you're comfortable with, the same things you've always done, you're living in the past, you're never going to move forward. And so when I tell people, what's your worst case scenario if, things are the way they are now, they're like, no, I don't want it. I want to move. I want to stay moving forward. I don't want to be here right now or want to be in this room, right? You want to be on this live. And so it's hard to hear that, right? It's very hard to hear that. And it's really like, oh crap, like I'm really self-sabotaging myself right now. And one of the things that you've noticed, and I noticed, the first time I really noticed this was the first time I had COVID. I had to go to Target for a pickup order, so I couldn't infect anyone. And I was watching people live their life while I was in the most miserable part of mine. And, one of the most. COVID was no joke that first time. I almost ended up in the hospital. And one of the things I realized is life doesn't stop. It doesn't stop for anyone. It doesn't stop for our pauses or procrastinations. Think about it. When you're sitting there with COVID and you're watching all these people move on with a Friday night and the sun is setting, like that was literally like my backdrop at the time. And it was the most beautiful sunset in the world that I've ever seen. So I was glad I was outside for it. But when something really crappy has happened in your life, the rest of the world is going on about their business anyway, right? And life doesn't stop for what's going on in your life. And the only person you are hurting is yourself when you give up or stop or don't do the task. And only when you're unwilling to continue just simply existing or feeling unsatisfied and unfulfilled will you make the edits and the effort necessary to make a change. Right? So when you're sitting there and you're watching everyone walk away around like they're having the best times of their life and you're sitting there in your misery, the only person, and I just saw something about cancer. My limit is a limit of like what you're going through, okay? Cancer is something else, but it does show you, and I'm not ever like degrading what people are going through, but it shows you the world moves on. And you can battle it, and you can fight it, and you can move forward, or you can sit there and you can live in that pain. And so you get to a point when enough is enough, right? You get to a point like when you're in a bad relationship or you reach your highest weight you've ever did and you're like, I'm fed up, or you quit your job and you change careers because I'd rather be broke and homeless than live in this job anymore, right? You get to a point where you're fed up. And anyone that's lost a significant amount of weight or changed their life overnight or had some kind of health scare or anything, it's because they got to a point where enough was enough. And you finally did it, and you moved on, and you were like, I need to do it. And so when you succeed in real estate, most successful people just got fed up and needed a change. And so when you stop putting things off and the things you don't want to do, when you stop putting that off and you stop making excuses as to why you aren't doing it, is when you're going to break through to your next point, right? So when I was tired of being broke, I shared my story at the retreat. When I was tired of being broke, when I was tired of starving because I wouldn't eat for days because I needed to make sure my son could eat. When I was tired of bills not being able to be paid and getting hounded by debt collectors. And I was tired of not being able to even buy the things that I need. Not even want, but just need, right? When I was tired of it, when I really got fed up, is when I made that change. And enough was enough, and I was done playing small. You know, Liz wasn't here a few years ago, and all of a sudden I'm all over your feeds, right? Like, eventually you just get fed up with it, and it doesn't matter. So who is at that point? I'm going to go back to my comments now. Who's at that point where they're just like, I'm changing. It doesn't matter what I have to do. I'm not spending another year. I'm not going into 2024 the same person I was at the beginning of 2023. Who was that? Who's there? I'm waiting for comments to come through. Let's see, there's a delay. Are we at that point? Yes, there we go. Okay, all right. Me. Yep, no way am I going back. Exactly. So 4 of you. 4 of you at a fed up point that's like, real estate's it for me. Okay, there we go. Okay, I see a few more. Okay, so I'm going to give you some tips and tools throughout this live, but another thing that we want to change is the way we talk. And I did a lot of recorrections at the retreat this weekend, and a lot of you guys caught it. But stop talking about what you are going to do or who you will be. Saying we will, should, would, when you do that, you're subconsciously telling yourself that this is a future thing and not something that is happening for you right now. Take that in. So when you say I will be an investor, or I will do this, or I should do this, or I would do this, think of how that sounds to your subconscious. And at the retreat, I was talking to so many people, and I corrected so many ladies that were saying, well, hopefully, or I will try, and I should do this, and I will do this then. And I was like, no, right? No, that's not what we are going to say, right? Instead of I will, or I'm in the process of, I want you to say I'm in the process of, or I am doing this. I am an investor. You're not, the second you decided to jump into real estate, you became an investor. And until you acknowledge that, you're always going to think you're not, and it's something in the future, right? So I'm an investor. And when you start to talk in those terms, the psychological impact on your brain of using the in-the-moment language is way more powerful and will have a very different and powerful effect. So I want you to start talking as if it's already happening now. Not in a month, and in a year, or I'm going to get into investing, or I just bought Liz and Laura's program, so I'm going to become an investor. You are an investor the second you purchased. You were an investor the second you walked into my room. You're an investor the second you sat on this live. So you became an investor the second you decided this was your path. So right now, I want in my comments, I am an investor. Into the comments. Let's talk about it, right? I am an investor. There you go. I have been telling people I am an investor because you are. You don't have to say I'm a new investor. You don't have to say any of that. I'm an investor. There we go. Oh, Laura, you got to it before I even said anything. I just clicked in. There you go. I am an investor. Keep it coming. I am an investor. Now, some of you might feel a little like, oh my God, imposter syndrome. Don't. You're an investor. And that's something you need to start saying. And I talked about this at the retreat. And another thing I mentioned at the retreat, it was a really good retreat, is with success comes sacrifice. Here's the next part. This is a hard one because a lot of people give me pushback on this. I hate to tell you this, but if you want to become successful in real estate, are you willing to do what it takes to make the money you're striving for? And in the beginning, are you willing, to work day and night? Possibly skip some fun parties or outings or things with your family. Are you willing to give up family vacations? Are you willing to lose sleep and work even though you're working full time during the day? Are you willing to not sit down and watch TV every night and instead work on your business? Are you willing to, I have a list here so I don't forget, right? Are you willing to make the sacrifices in the beginning to do the work that needs to be done and the potential you see for your life? Are you willing to do that? Because in the beginning for me, I worked full-time during the day. I was a single mother, still am. And then I had to do real estate at night. And I had to do real estate on my lunch breaks. And I had to do all of this. And on top of it, Laura had never done virtual as far as the way I was trying to do it. So I had to do all that on my own and figure it out. And so are you willing to do that? Are you willing to put aside your doubts and your fears and your TV shows and your procrastination to reach your true potential and really change your life? I'm not saying never watch TV or never sit down with your family. But there are going to be days where you didn't get your to-do list done for real estate, so you need to do that versus the other things. And not everyone's willing to do that. And remember, this is a rewire. You need to be honest with yourself. If you're not willing to take the risk and do everything that it takes, that's okay. Admit that and go on with your life without the stress of all the risk and what-ifs. Right? It will ease the burden. And it will help you show that maybe this isn't the path you should take if you're not willing to do what you need to do. Right? And I say this with a lot of love, but excuses are always going to be there to not reach your goals. They're always going to be there. You have to be strong enough to fight your excuses. And not everyone wants to. And so you're going to have negative thoughts. You're going to have doubts. You're going to have fears. Maybe I should do this instead. It's not about fighting against or resisting those thoughts, but rather changing the direction of your thought process when those feelings come up. And what do I mean? So I mean really becoming aware that your brain is scared and it's meant to protect you. Your brain is meant to show you all the fears. The one thing you need to ask yourself, is this a valid fear? Or is this my brain's way of saying, hey, you're trying something new, don't do it? And this is not what we're used to, so I'm freaking out, and I'm trying to keep you safe. And when you're not wired yet to really do that, here's an example of what I do. So when I feel that doubt and that fear come in, I thank my brain for keeping me safe and wanting to protect me and keep me in my comfort zone. And then I trust my gut. So I go back, I sit down in a quiet space, and I say, is this fear talking and self-doubt, maybe a little lack of confidence, or should I really not be doing this? Because when I realize it's fear, that's the exact moment I know I need to go and tackle and do what I'm scared to do so that I build my confidence and I'm on the right path. That's how I know I'm on the right path, when it's fear. They say, feel the fear and do it anyway. Because when you do scary things, the best reward presents themselves, like financial freedom, and being able to teach other women and empower and inspire other women. And when you understand your thought patterns and that it's a much better shot you have at altering them to help you succeed in reaching your goals. This doesn't happen overnight, right? Sit down. Yep, Sonia, sit down and have a little talk with your brain. And that really helps, right? It really helps to figure it out and trust your gut. Women have amazing intuition. They used to think, I was reading somewhere, they used to think women were witches because we had such amazing intuition that men learned to trust the women's intuition when it led to like wars and things to do and running colonies and things like that. They used to think we were witches. No, we just have amazing intuition and we know not to do stupid shit. And so we learn that, and when you learn that, you understand that. And I read this in a book, so I'm going to read this word for word. but I wanted to share this with you. Success is never certain. It never comes without risk. The successful people in life that go on to do great things know this. They always embrace it. They'd rather shoot for the target and miss instead of not aiming for the target at all. They didn't succeed because they were certain they were going to. They succeeded because they didn't let uncertainty stop them. They did it anyway. They ignored the doubts and kept pushing forward. The more you try to stay in your comfort zone, the more uncomfortable you will become tomorrow. What a great quote, right? Whew, gives me chills. Successful people don't wait. They're not waiting for this right, perfect moment. They get up and they do. And they try. Daily. They're not ever ready for what they're about to do. I'm going to tell you this from experience. The only difference between you as a whole, and the other person who's living the life you want is that they did it. They're doing it. They're taking action and they're fighting their fears and their doubts every single day. So if you are willing to move yourself forward in this direction of your goals, you need to start doing it. Okay? Stop learning. You need to take action, and you need to stop putting off the task and the excuses and the buts and actually do the work that makes the changes you need to do to get you to where you want to go. I'm reading some of the comments. You guys are amazing in here, right? I felt fear when I signed up for the retreat, but I did it anyway and never felt better about the decision. Exactly. And now look, you may on the other side of fear. Remind yourself of that in the future when you feel the fear. So what if you don't know enough? We'll figure it out as you go. Just take the first step. It's easy as that. Don't have enough time? Make the time. Stop doing something else like scrolling Facebook, as we were talking about in the student group yesterday, or watching TV, or sitting on the couch to relax at the end of a hard day, and use that time wisely to set yourself up for success and for your future. Everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, Albert Einstein shared this at the retreat. All these amazing people have the same 24 hours in a day as you did. And all the greats in the life, in our lives and past lives, have the same 24 hours in the day. They just didn't give in to their excuses, and they did the work, and they showed up when people were watching TV or sleeping or making excuses as to why they can't do something. So stop pretending to yourself and go do the work. Stop feeling guilty and relieve yourself of the thoughts you've had. You can't change anything that's happened in the past. That's why I'm here, right? To kind of remind you of who you are and to call you out and then to bring you back. So let's take some action. We've talked about our thoughts and everything behind it, but if you don't take action, you can't expect to reach your goals. So I actually really love this quote by Dale Carnegie. I shared it on my status this morning, my personal Facebook. An action breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit at home and think about it. Go out and get busy. Just do it, right? A body that stays in motion, right? Newton's law. So you're going to have the doubts, and I'm being repetitive because it's going to speak to somebody differently when I say it every time. You're going to have doubts. You're going to have fears. Go ahead and experience those and still act anyway. Think of a time where you felt fear. Like Connie was just saying, where you felt fear. You had this huge thing ahead of you or this huge mountain, and you conquered it anyway, and you showed up for yourself. And you went full steam ahead, and you made it happen. And when you have set out goals, you are going to go full steam ahead without letting excuses get in your way. Because only then, it's not going to be if it happens, but when it happens that you reach success, because you didn't give up and you showed up every single day. So, I work with a lot of women, as you know, clearly from being in the group and all of that. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard, well, let me work on getting my mind right, and when it is, I'll do this. Or let me get this, and this done, and then I can fully focus on this. Or let me wait until I have the perfect logo, business name, website, the perfect script, the perfect amount of time, the perfect mood where I feel motivated, the perfect setup of office before I actually get started. if you wait for those perfect moments and the perfect motivation and the perfect times, you are never going to get going. One of the ironic things about developing our mind and our mindset is that it can actually keep us from acting on things we really need to act on. So many people fall in just the mindset portion of things and wanting to understand and know everything before they just go and do things, and that actually kind of screws them over. That's why this live is going to last about an hour, and then you're going to go on your way and you're going to start taking action and not sit there and think of where you failed. This live is supposed to be motivational. This is supposed to call you out so that you can fix it and you can move on from it. And when we feel off, we put our lives off. So you can change your life by doing, not about thinking about doing, but you need to actually do something. And you don't want to wait for the mood to strike. Don't wait for that magic feeling of feeling motivated. 2 years ago, the first time I had COVID, we had a retreat right after, and everyone was like, I don't know how you do it, because you were sharing that you're depressed and you would never know it, because I had post-COVID depression. And I said, because I show up anyway. I mean, I have to. I showed up anyway. It didn't matter what was going on. That was my job, and that was my purpose in life. And I didn't wait for motivation. And I told them I was praying that the retreat would reinvigorate me, and it did. And I was so grateful for it. But I shared that. You just show up anyway, even when there's no motivation. I lost all willpower to do anything. And I showed up. And so when you have set out goals, you are going for them full steam ahead. You're not going to let those excuses happen. And you're going to go out and move on and simply act, right? So, let me see. I lost my train of thought here. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. I was reading notes because Laura said apparently she can't get on while driving, so we're going to have to figure that out there. Okay, so your thoughts, who has heard this before? Your thoughts create your reality. But the only way your thoughts, like your positive, your aspirations, your inspirational thoughts, are going to become reality is by taking action. Only if you act on them. So if you want a great life, you need to create that vision in your head, write out the steps to get there, and then put your reality into actions. That's why we create vision boards and those things. And then I say after it, okay, we did the vision board. Now what are you going to do to get there? I did a post on my Facebook before where I was like, what's your goal? Okay, and then I went in and commented, and I said, how are you going to get there? Right? What are your steps to make this happen? And so if your thoughts are negative and full of self-doubt and fear, you're gonna continue to procrastinate and stay in this negative vibe. And your reality will mirror those same thoughts. And this really does start within you. I was telling my sister, if you always focus on what's wrong, then things are just going to keep happening to support that things are wrong in your life. But if you focus on things that are good, the universe is going to conspire to make sure that the good still keeps happening. It's not to say bad never happens in my life. You guys learned that at the retreat. I've had a lot of ups and downs. But I just focus on what's good. And that's how I remain who I am to you. Because I stay in a positive mindset. For example, I was yelling at my computer right before I got on here because I've had family in town. And there was something very wrong in my house and no one brought it to my attention, and I found out today, like right before the live. And I was like, I'm supposed to go into this mindset live feeling high vibe in life, and I'm freaking pissed, okay? And so I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to focus on that right now. Right before the live, I said, I'm not going to focus on that, because you know what's going right? Is I have this live where all these women are going to attend, and I'm going to blow their mind. And I focused on that instead. And I focused on the excitement that I get to share this with you. And I have this life, and I have a house to have issues in. And I was able to support all these people. And when you think of it that way, the excitement comes through versus the anger you felt right before. It completely changes everything around. Don't worry, I'm finishing up soon, ladies. So, the difference between a dream and it manifesting is action. So we're bringing it back, is action. And I wrote this status once a few months ago, and it really has stuck to me. I think about it a lot. Action may not bring happiness, but there is no happiness without action. Some of us just wait for life, God, the universe, to give us what we want. But if you want to get where you're going, you have to get out there and take action. Ignore how you feel, ignore the worries of what others will think, and take control of your life and act accordingly. Potential is never realized without work. I wrote that. I was so proud of myself when I was thinking about it the first time. Every once in a while, things come out that I write that I'm like, wow, that was impressive. But You're going to be uncomfortable as you move forward, and I want you to do it anyway. You're going to not want to do things because it's so far out of your comfort zone. Who cares? I want you to do it anyway. I mean, I don't like Facebook Lives, as you can see. I share. I get splotchy when I'm on stage. I get splotchy on lives. I get splotchy on a lot of things because of the fact that it's way out of my comfort zone. And I'm being vulnerable here to show you, to bring attention to things that I usually try and cover up. Because you'll know when I'm nervous because I get splotchy. My skin gives me away every time. It drives me nuts. And so, but I do it anyway. I show up here because if I didn't, you guys would sit there wondering what is wrong with you and why real estate isn't working for you. And so I need to show up to show you that it happens anyway, right? And if I didn't show up and I didn't do these lives and these videos, some of you would just go through your life thinking constantly something's wrong with you when it's not. It's just a matter of rewiring this part of your brain. And so we don't grow when we are in our comfort zone. Some of the greatest accomplishments and successes are so rare because people don't like being uncomfortable. In order to grow, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I repeat, you do not have to know all the steps. You do not always have to know everything you need to do. There are going to be times that you are trekking through things that you're really not sure what you're doing. Blaze it anyway. Blaze your own path anyway. Laura shared at the retreat, she shares this all the time, that she just kind of throws an idea out there, and if it works, great, she sticks with it and runs with it, and if she doesn't, which she has failed a lot of times, then she just learns from it, pays lawyer fees that she got in trouble with. But it never stopped her, right? It never stopped her. And look at her now. She's bomb, right? She's like one of the most amazing women I have ever known. And I say that not just because she's my mother, but because she is a freaking powerhouse of a woman. And it's because she never let the failures of life scare her. She never let the fear of losing money scare her. Because she's like, it will be replaced. Which we do money weeks all the time in this. So you wait for the next one on that of like the fear of losing money. It comes back, you know. And it's scary. And when you are okay to lose everything and know you'll be okay, it's a different feeling. Because then you become almost fearless, right? So I want you to focus on what comes to you at the moment and not what might happen. Stop. A lot of my students ask, well, what if this happens and what if this happens? I'm like, okay, well, why don't you wait till that happens and you come across that bridge? Then we can deal with it. Then sitting in this paralyzed fear of waiting for what's going to happen, what's going to happen, what if this happens, and what if this happens, and what if the seller says this, and what if the seller says that. Come to it when it happens and just get out there and start talking to them. You're never going to know until you get out there. And so you need to focus on that and not what might happen. Put one foot in front of the other, and as the problems or situations arise, you deal with it then. And when you focus on the fear of what's going to happen, you distract yourself, you procrastinate from what you need to do to win. Right? So when you change paths in life, I'm going to go into a next subject here, because I get this asked a lot, and it happened to me. Whenever you are really about to change a path in your life, or you're going to join a real estate program, or you're going to get on a diet, things in your life tend to blow up. Like, I was going to start working out the first of the year. I ended up on Thanksgiving, then things happened, and then I was going to do that, and then I got COVID. Your life's going to blow up. You have to do it anyway. Keep pushing through. It's always really hard right before you level up. Like, life is really, really hard when you're supposed to level up. Anyone else, like, realize that once they got through it, that it had to happen the way it did? Because the universe is testing, how bad do you want this? Like, for example, I'm trying to manifest love this year. Stay tuned. And all my exes came back. All of them, even the one I was talking about, came back in the month of December. All of them. Ones I haven't talked to in years. Ones that are married. Ones that are in relationships. And all I was thinking was, this is the universe testing me. I'm not falling for it. But things with real estate, too. You get into real estate. I have a student that got into real estate. And they were like, I feel like my life just went into flames. And I'm like, just keep going. And now they're one of the most successful students I have. But I tell them, I'm like, it's supposed to happen that way. You have to be tested. You have to be. How bad do you want this? Right? And you all are agreeing in the chats. Oh my God, this is my life right now. Right? And so let's talk about future you and affirmations. Because affirmations is the quickest way to rewire your brain. The future you is only going to regret not trying and not sticking to it. So don't let that future you be disappointed in who you are now. And stick to your goals so that future you can be happy. And future you can live life on her own terms. And future you doesn't have to report to a boss and build someone else's dreams. And future you can live life and travel and have that freedom she's looking for. But she's only going to do that and have that based off of the decisions you make leaving this life, right? So let's talk about affirmations. In my Facebook group, for those of you that are not in it, I recommend getting into it. I do daily affirmations. Now, affirmations alone will not cause results to happen in your life unless you have the right plan to back up your affirmations and are taking daily action in accordance with that plan. So don't just go off of my affirmations. You have to take the action behind it. You have to believe it. You have to move forward after you say the affirmations. You have to constantly repeat it to yourself till you believe that what you're telling yourself is true. And different affirmations speak to different people. That's why I post all different kinds of affirmations in my paragraph, because at least one of the sentences you could take away. So think to yourself, I am not my thoughts, I am what I do. And so if I'm getting discouraged or feeling defeated, that's okay. But what's not okay is to stop. What's not okay is to give in to those feelings. Geez, Arlo is a husky and she just shook herself and now I see fur all over me. And so that's not okay. That's not okay to do. Believe fully into yourself. So let's take some steps. We're at the end here. Whew, this is long. Okay, so let's become aware. Check your beliefs. Become aware, step away, and chill a moment. Meditate, visualize, sit with yourself, figure out what you're feeling. Use your emotions, right? Use your emotions with meditation because it creates this vacuum that the universe has to feel. And happiness is what makes things happen. So sit with yourself, build yourself back up when you're feeling that way. Write down your desires. And then also your challenge is to write what you are grateful for every day. And not just 3 things. This is a challenge I'm going to give all the ladies in this group. I want you to get a notebook and I want you to fill the entire page. I wish I would have brought mine in. And I wish I had someone here to bring it to me. Because I have a journal and I fill the entire page and I don't stop until I'm done. It will open up your energy channels. You will look at the glass more half full than half empty, and you will not be your own enemy moving forward. You will not choke up on your desires and your goals and your destiny. They will start flowing and things will start happening to make that happen for you. But you have to fully believe in the timing of your life. You are where you're supposed to be right now. You have to fully believe that I showed up on this live for a reason, and you're watching this live, and you stayed on for the full 50 minutes of this live for a reason. And you have to just really understand that you are exactly where you are supposed to be, and to be so grateful that you are able to even afford a phone, a laptop, internet, to be able to sit and watch this live and let, hopefully, me change your brain just a little bit. I write down all the way down to my home and how grateful I am for my home and how my home literally saved my best friend and my kid and her kid's life during a hurricane, and how I write down like the Jeep I just got. I'll post soon. I'm just waiting for one more thing to come in. And how grateful I am because I've wanted this Jeep since I was 15. And I saw like someone else drive a Jeep with the top down in St. Louis, and I was like, that's going to be me one day. And I used to envision myself driving over to Sanibel, which is completely decimated from the hurricane now. And I had the Jeep down. And then I rented a Jeep, and Laura and I were talking about something. I said, shh, I'm living my moment right now. Like, literally stopped her in the middle of our conversation, and we drove over the bridge on my birthday into Sanibel with the Jeep top down. Something I had envisioned all the time in my other cars. And then I want to do it now, but I'm kind of scared just because I know Sanibel was decimated to do that same vision in my actual Jeep I just got last week. But it's like little things, and when you stay grateful, life opens up in so many ways. And your brain does rewire. It does. I think of things of how I used to think. I read my old journals. And I'm like, Jesus, Liz. Like, what were you thinking? and how I am now. And it doesn't happen where it's like the significant, like that's the moment my whole brain started being better. It took time and years and years and years of constantly saying I'm not going to go back to old ways, and I'm constantly not going to go back to old things, people, places, or anything, right? It took time, and it really took time for me to just get fed up. I had to get to a point where I was so fed up with myself that I changed, and that's how you rewire. And so I hope that this was helpful for you ladies here to hear some of these things. And I know I was repetitive. I have to be repetitive for it to work with other people. Because once I ask for why are they repeating this like 5 million times? I got it. Because one person's going to hear it a different way and it's going to click. And sorry, I see my hands waving on the lives. I talk with my hands a lot. I'll put my hands down. It's going to say something. I'm going to say something in a certain way that's just going to speak to you and completely change your life like it did for me. Okay? So, now moving into our Q&A. Laura's not able to get on, so I'm only going to be able to answer questions I know. What we're going to do is if you put we allow one question per person. If you want to put it into the chat, I will make sure that she can read them. If not, you can ask them in the group. We'll answer them. We allow one question per person. What I'm going to do in the meantime, though, is we have a raffle. Okay, we have a raffle. How do you get access into this raffle? Great question. Let me move it to the stream here. How do you get access to this raffle? You have to be in our Facebook group right now. Unfortunately, that's the only way. And you have to comment. The person that comments the most over the last 7 days in between each Thursday Live gets entered into a raffle. This is the raffle for this time. I think this raffle is gorgeous. I think it actually weirdly, I just thought about it, seeing the quote on the candle, is perfect as far as rewiring your brain. It puts you in a place to go calm down. It puts you in a place to go relax. It's all self-care items. We're going to light our candle, have our bath bombs and our oils running, and really calm ourselves and figure out our next steps, right? So this is actually like the perfect box that could have gone out this week, and this wasn't even like a conscious decision. And so how you get entered is the person that comments the most throughout the week in our group. We are trying to build a community here. We have almost 11,000 women in this Facebook group. It is amazing. This talk about not giving up. I've had this group for years. And for the first year, I got no comments, likes on my posts, hardly any interaction. And I said, I'm not going to give up because I know that I can create this community and I can have these groups, and I continue to post and I continue to show up and I continued, and we're just getting bigger and better. That's talking about no matter what, you don't give up. When you believe in something like a community of women that are investing in real estate, that aren't competitive, that are going to help each other out, that they are out there, that's exactly what happened, and here we are. So this is the raffle of the week. I am going to drum roll, please. In order to get this raffle, you have to email in by next Thursday's live to Amanda. You have to have watched this live as well. So please don't tag their names. We do this on purpose. This is to promote showing up. And honestly, if you commented as much as you did this last week and before, it's so perfect. Okay? So I have no worry that you're going to be here. The raffle winner is, let's see, Teresa Davis. Congratulations, Teresa. You are the winner of this beautiful box. So email into questions@realestateinvestingwomen.com, and our assistant Amanda will get this out to you right away. Okay? All right. I attended a workshop last month where ladies stress self-care for women. We need me time. I was sharing this at the retreat, and it's so funny because from my view on stage, I can see your faces, right? You guys were real up close because the way the room was set, you were like right there. And and I shared that I spend 3 hours every morning on me time. I get up ungodly early before I have to wake up my son, and I do like mindset, meditation, and all of this stuff. And your eyes were like, Jesus, 3 hours. Okay, one, it took a while to get there, but two, that's how I show up for everyone else the rest of the day. That's how I can be on these lives. That's how I can be there for my kid and not be stressed out. That's how I can get things done, and I can play with my dogs, and I can feel like I'm not rushing. And so I spend 3 hours a day working on me to reset myself and be selfish with my time so that I can pour into others' cups, right? Fill yours up so you can pour into others. You can't do that unless you do. So take care of yourself and show up for yourself. And I promise you, you will feel so much better. You will feel so much more confident in your life. So, whew, I'm out of breath. Let me drink some water while I wait for questions to come in. One question per person. Again, I can only answer things from my experience. If I don't know it, I will actually have Amanda tag Laura's name, and I'll tell her for all the ones you were tagged in are the ones you have to go back. Okay, so my experience is not as extensive as Laura's, but I have some good experience. So let's see what questions come in. Plus, I only wholesale. So if you have anything on rentals, fix and flip, private money, I ain't your girl, but I can help you. Okay? And we could talk about anything. Real estate, it's an ask us anything. Mindset, what do I do? Anything. Sonia, you're at an hour and a half. That's phenomenal in the morning. And don't you feel so much better? Okay, when did you start wholesaling? How did you find your buyers? Yeah. So, when I started wholesaling, I was actually marketing. I shared this at the retreat. The whole reason I got into real estate was not because of Laura. It was because I was doing internet marketing for one of her students who was wholesaling anywhere from 90 plus properties a month. And I was doing his marketing. So I learned real quick how to find buyers. And I shared at the retreats, but I will share a couple here. I did a few things. Facebook Marketplace wasn't a thing, but it is one of my most popular ways now. Just gave you a tip. I would have a list of cash buyers in the area that these properties were, and I would contact all of them. So you can do the same thing. Pull a list of cash buyers and contact them. And then the other thing is Craigslist was really popular and still is, but it was really popular then for me to post properties. Okay. Diana, you will. Don't you stress. Don't you stress. There's a process. Amanda's reached out to you. I met a pastor's wife who has me Mondays. No one bothers her on Monday. Oh my God, I love that. That's me Sundays. We got to change it though, because me Mondays is MM. So I got to think of something. Solo Sundays. I'm solo Sundays. I'm solo Sundays. There we go. That's me on Sundays, unless I have a retreat. Connie's asking, see, this is why I love when you guys comment on like my other stuff, because I can share, look how cute this is, but it's okay if you're in the group, don't stress. Do you always get up early? I'm not a morning person, but I really need to do this. No, you don't. Do what works for you. So if you're not a morning person, but you know, like you want to do this, I personally say do it before your day starts. So if you normally wake up, let's say like 10, then maybe start waking up at like 8:39 and start doing it before your day gets insane or before your kids get up, right? Or your dog starts moving around. Like in my case, I have to get it done because my dogs at 6:30 are like snap, snap. Okay, snap, snap, let's get moving. In your case, if you're sleeping in, let's say till 10 or 11, I don't know what sleeping in means for you, and your day normally starts at 10 or 11, then let's push back and start waking up around 9, unless you can right away. Okay? So you do not have to be a morning person. Just win the morning to win the day, right? That's a famous saying that goes around. Just start your morning with this. Okay? And so for you, if you're getting up and your day starts at 10, I want you to start a little bit sooner. Would that work for you? Is that something you can do? The only reason I don't recommend doing it after the day is you're more likely to put it off, and you're more likely to get too busy and things come up to where that wouldn't happen, right? Like it would just, you would push it off, or maybe you fall asleep too early. So you want to win your morning to win your day. Okay? Does it get easier to write out contracts? I'm in such fear of contracts, or what's the best solution for their needs? It does get so much easier. Like I can look at a contract and fill it out in 2 minutes with everything I need and the contingencies. I could do it while talking to a seller right then and there on the phone. It does, everything gets easier. If you do not practice doing it, putting offers out there, you're never going to get good at it. We were all beginners at one point, right? So you have to practice. So you will get easier. It will become less of a fearful thing, and you'll just move forward. Okay? So I hope that helps with you. Moving forward, I'm reading from the group for those of you that are on the other lives, because I don't see anything coming through just yet. Okay. You can become a morning person, just get your mindset ready for it. You can, but I can tell you from someone that's like Laura, she has always been like her best moments are in the evenings. That's when all of our team, Amanda can attest, gets the most slacks. And like, hey, let's do this now. And we're like, no, we're already off for the day. So there are people that just, it's really like that for them, okay? it's just funny that's when she's I'm most productive between the hours of 5. So like our team meetings in the mornings, I have like 700 things to do. But if I've slept in, then their list is a lot smaller because I can't think straight. Miracle Morning is priceless. Yes, it is. Read the 5 a.m. club. I've been getting up an hour early this week. Read the Miracle Morning on the way home from the retreat. Great stuff. Great book. Laura always talks about it. Let me see. Okay. I am most productive in mornings. Me too. I live with night owls. That's fine. That means they're sleeping in when you do your mindset in the morning. Right? My son, if he could, he would sleep all day. He is someone that has always, even as a baby, slept 12, 13, 14 hours. I've gotten very lucky. And so I can get a lot done before I go wake him up for school. Do you get up that early on the weekends? You're going to hate me, but I do. Because I'm so I'm just used to waking up that even when I try to sleep in, I can't. I wake up a ton. So, for example, Monday after the retreat, I was exhausted, right? I literally look hungover the days after the retreat. And I tried to sleep in. I stayed into bed till 8:30. But I woke up every 5 minutes from the hours of 4 to 8:30. So eventually I was like, all right, this isn't working. But I was just so tired. Your body just adjusts to it. And then also, mindset doesn't stop on the weekends, right? Your mind is constantly going. And so one of the things I heard that was your mindset doesn't stop on the weekends. So I still do my entire morning rituals on the weekend as well. So I still do that. I have a whole ritual. Let's see. That is late for me, yeah. Do you have any specific concerns regarding the housing market for the next 2 years? Okay, Laura has talked about this a lot because Laura has always had kind of like a crystal ball in real estate. And when everyone was telling you to get out of real estate when COVID hit, she was the one, and we were like literally hounding our students to stay in. Do not get out. Don't start selling on Amazon. One mentor said that. Even though Amazon did pick up, but real estate is always going to be the most financially free way to live your life. It's one of them, but the most, I would say. Nothing's going to change as far as, we do not foresee a crash like 2007, 2008. We do not see that. It's turning into a buyer's market. So that's good for you as an investor. Houses are staying on the market a little longer with rising interest rates and all of that. I don't have any concerns. That's also, for me, is a mindset thing. It's a mindset thing. When you worry about it going wrong, and I'm not saying you are, Lacey, but when you worry, this is for everyone as a whole, when you worry about things going wrong, things are going to go wrong. You're going to find evidence to support that. So if something were to go drastically wrong to where we would have a crash or anything, what you do as an investor is you constantly reinvent yourself. So, for example, in 2007, 2008, when wholesaling just literally stopped working overnight, short sales became the biggest thing, and then you made a ton of money that way. You just have to find a way to reinvent yourself. I do not see the market going down as significantly, and everything supports that. Like, people are like, wait for the dip. There's not going to be a significant dip, okay? In some areas, there may be a little bit of a dip. And so, but there's not going to be like this huge significant dip. Okay? So that's what I foresee. Now, if you go back into some of our older videos over the last couple of months, Laura goes in way more detail of like the science, like the facts behind it and the data behind it, because she's more of a data person. I recommend finding that and listening to it because she's been through 3 recessions. And so for her, this is nothing compared to the other ones that she's been through. She has no concern. She has no worries, which is really nice for me to also, because as I shared at the retreat, one of my biggest worries when I first got into real estate was a crash or anything like that, and it actually impeded me, and I shared this at the retreat, for 10 months from doing a deal because I was so stuck in fear of what could happen if I got into real estate. So definitely go find that video to kind of help you. Okay? I don't see any questions as far as... Laura, I'll have Amanda respond to that so it doesn't confuse the people in the live. And I think we're done. So I would love to know what you thought. What was your biggest takeaway from today's live? What are you going to change moving forward? So let me wait for that to come through. But what is your biggest takeaway? And what are you going to change moving forward? Who wants to share? No one asked any questions I couldn't answer. That was pretty cool. Let's see. Biggest takeaway, and what are you going to do moving forward? And for those of you that have stayed on this entire hour, kudos to you. That's pretty impressive, because I've had a constant stay of views. All right. Anyone want to share? My mindset in doing more calls. Yes. What else? Mindset, doing more calls. That's the biggest takeaway and what she's doing moving forward. Anyone else? Started listening to Rich as Fuck and getting my money mindset ready to receive. Okay, so Diana, I want you to start saying, I think I said this at the retreat, my bank account is wide open and ready to receive. I read that somewhere on a live or something, and I was like, that's perfect. I say it all the time. Doesn't matter how much money I make, and my bank account could get bigger, right? Just bust through the fear and make the dang calls. Yes. I mean, what's the worst they can do? Cuss you out? I get cussed out when I'm driving sometimes. We all do. That's the worst that can happen is they cuss you out and say no, and I just say, okay, have a great rest of your day. My mindset needs to change, and I just need to do it and not worry about it. Yeah, just do it. Right? Do it. Don't worry about it. I mean, we've been through and you shared at the retreat, you've already been through probably the hardest thing you're ever going to go through. Right? You've lost someone you cared so much about, and you made it through that. You can make it through this. You can make it through making calls and dealing with those people, the mean people. The biggest takeaway for me is being pretty consistent for me, which is, again, action. Sonia, come on. Yes, action. Keep working on myself and focusing on mindset. My biggest takeaway is action and action. Getting, gratitude to find more positives. I'm open, will, and ready. Moving forward, okay to have fear, but keep going. Time blocking and respecting that. Stop the negative self-talk. I'm meditating and getting my mind right. I am changing on a cellular level. I can feel it. Isn't it a cool feeling? I rearranged my schedule for 2/7 to pick up pre-foreclosure lists. See? I love it. Let me see what is on the other channel. I am in control of my mind. You so are. I think so many of us, I'm not going to broadcast that one even though you commented on the stream. I think so many of us, we worry that we're not in control of our minds, and it's scary. But you are. You just have to figure out, when I'm really messing things up, I'm like, okay, what is it in me? Right? What is it in me that's doing this? And I have to figure it out because I know it's me and I can take it. Okay, so I am being asked, a question came through. Can you share what your morning ritual consists of? 100%. Just don't get overwhelmed. This is built over time. So I wake up between the hours of 3:30 and 4:30. It just depends on whenever my body wakes me up. I have an alarm set for 5:07. Don't ask me why it says 5:07. I just didn't want it on an even number or an even time. And then I have a second alarm for 5:17, so 10 minutes exactly later. So that's my morning. But usually I'm up between 3:30 and 4:30. I get up. I don't drink coffee. I know that's insane. I get up, immediately leave my bed, and move to my couch, because that is where I do my morning mindset. So I do it in the couch with the windows open. So I have a pool and a canal in my backyard. So I open up all the windows, even though I can't see anything because it's dark. And I just sit on the couch. This way, I'm not able to fall back asleep easily, and I stick to my morning ritual. I immediately start reading. Right now, I'm reading Millionaire Success Habits by Dean Graziosi. It's a phenomenal book. I've been promoting it for the last month because it's that good. And so I've been doing that. I read, and I don't read ongoing. I read until I feel I need to stop and process things. So whether that's a section of a chapter, a full chapter, a paragraph, and then I start journaling right after that. Once I do that, I go into journal mode, And then I journal what I'm doing or whatever exercise he's giving us at the time. I love books that make you think past just reading and to have you write things down. And then I have a grateful journal. I have two. I have one that Juan, any of you that know, who met him at the retreat, our other coach, Juan, he sent everyone in his life, I thought it was the most amazing thing, a grateful journal. So I fill that out every morning and evening before bed, and then I have my actual journal, the one where I write the full page. I do that as well. And so I fill that out, and then I go into like a meditation / visualization. I kind of do both at the same time because my visualization always puts me at peace. And so for me, it's important that I continue to feel that peace and meditate, and eventually I just kind of slip. Now, my meditation is very hard on me because I'm also someone that has like a very scattered brain at times, if you couldn't tell by the live. So it's harder for me to meditate fully, but I still attempt every single day. Moving into that, and then I kind of, after that, I get up, I get into the group, so I come into the office because I try to move when I'm in different zones. I go into the office and I post like affirmations in the group. I follow up, like the students get comments at like 2:45 a.m. because I'm up or whatever, that's me. I start planning out my day, and then I go get dressed. And then from that moment on, I do like the affirmations in the group, get dressed, go get my son up, and I take him. I was asked what time I go to bed. I go to bed anywhere between 10 and 11. I don't sleep a lot. I sleep maybe 5 to 6 hours on an day. I feel rested as far as that. So I just do that. And then I have a whole entire day of block time of when I'm supposed to be doing what and where. So I hope that helps you. You have to find what works for you. You have to find what gets you excited, right? Gets you excited to get up. I like getting up. I like getting up and doing my morning stuff. I'm excited to get up there and get on my couch and do the reading, and because I feel so good. I feel so centered and structured moving forward for the rest of my day. So this has become something I depend on. And I feel really good about it every single day doing it. So you have to find what works for you. If you don't want to do all 6 steps from the Miracle Morning, then don't do all 6 steps. If meditation ends up frustrating you more than it makes you feel calm and zen, then take it out. I had to take it out for a long time because it just made me frustrated because I couldn't keep my mind quiet. You know, do what works for you. You want this to be a time that's for yourself to reflect, to get into a space of gratitude, and to really feel inspired to take your next steps for the day. Half of the time I don't know how my day is going to go outside of my scheduled things or what I'm going to post or anything until the morning of, and then I go in and, schedule them out so that they're not all coming at once with my 15 million ideas I want to share for the day. That's why some days I may have one post go out and other days I have like 15 because I'm so inspired by it. So things like that. So I'm going to get off here because it's been an hour and 15 minutes, and I'm sure you guys are sick of this. Well, a few of you. And I'm going to let you guys kind of reflect on this live. The live will stay up so that you can get back and listen to it as often as you need. But my biggest thing for you ladies is to really figure out what you're doing to self-sabotage and get over it. Figure it out. And if you need help, you can always reach out to somebody in the group. You can reach out to me. But figure out what is stopping you from success. And then come up with a morning ritual. The most successful people I know have a ritual they do every day without fail, no matter. Even the retreat, I was still doing it. I was still up. I brought that briefcase I was rolling around with me was filled with all my stuff that I was doing. I'm sure someone saw me at one point emptying it, and I was throwing all these books out because I was trying to find something. Those are all my morning books. I don't care. It comes with me everywhere I go. When I travel, there's no excuses. My mindset has to stay on point, especially my job, so I make sure that I'm constantly feeding it the best things. So, I hope this was helpful for you all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Go out there, knock it out, start rewiring the things you don't like about yourself, and then love every part of yourself regardless, because that's who you are now, and that's who's made you who you are. Have a wonderful